After betrayal, a relationship never returns to what it once was. Its dynamics change significantly, especially for the partner who is betrayed. The emotional shock that comes from discovering that someone you trusted has broken, that trust is not just a painful moment, but a complex, multidimensional experience that affects your sense of safety, self-confidence, and emotional stability. At this stage, the affected woman may begin to behave in ways that sometimes seem strange or contradictory to you, but in reality, they reflect deep psychological processes taking place in her mind. Through them, she is trying to understand what happened, evaluate your feelings and reactions, and protect herself from further pain. In this video, we will reveal how a woman behaves after betrayal, the hidden tests she may put you through, and how to read these behaviors with awareness to understand her true intentions and how to deal with them. 1. Testing your sincerity and emotional awareness. When a woman discovers betrayal, her internal emotional system immediately activates a danger alarm. Suddenly, all your actions, words, and tone of voice come under scrutiny. She observes how you respond to new emotions, how you answer her questions, and whether you are truly capable of empathizing with her. The goal of this assessment is not merely a superficial or always conscious test, but an attempt to understand whether you grasp the magnitude of the pain and shock caused by the betrayal. She looks for emotional signals that show your awareness of her feelings. Can you acknowledge the harm that was done? Do you show genuine remorse? Can you respond to her pain with sensitivity and care, without avoidance or minimizing what happened? 2. Watching consistency, not just words. After betrayal, kind words or quick apologies are not enough to rebuild trust. Many psychologists emphasize that real recovery depends on consistent behavior over time, not on fleeting promises or statements unsupported by action. A woman, especially one attuned to subtle emotional cues, begins observing everything you do. Do your actions match your words? Do you show transparency in your interactions? Are you patient and willing to give the relationship time to heal? These small signals reveal how serious your intentions are and whether you are capable of taking responsibility for repairing the damage caused by betrayal. Consistency is not merely a behavioral standard, it is the key to gradually rebuilding trust. Even simple daily actions, such as honesty in communication or respect for emotional boundaries, become powerful indicators for her to evaluate whether the relationship can be repaired or whether it consists of empty promises. 3. Evaluating your accountability. After betrayal, personal accountability becomes one of the most important factors a woman observes. She is not looking for superficial apologies or passing promises, but for whether the partner who betrayed her can fully acknowledge what he did without avoidance or shifting blame. At this stage, she closely watches your behavior. Do you show genuine remorse? Do you clearly acknowledge the pain you caused? Do you accept the consequences of your actions without justification or minimizing the betrayal? These signs are not mere rituals. They are real psychological indicators of your ability to confront your mistakes and your emotional maturity. She also often looks for practical actions that show readiness to change, such as cutting off contact with the other person, clarifying new boundaries, and actively working to rebuild trust. All of this demonstrates your seriousness in addressing the damage and helps her determine whether the relationship can be rebuilt or whether trust has been irreparably harmed. 4. Testing your emotional availability. After betrayal, genuine emotional presence becomes a central criterion for the affected woman. This is not manipulation or an attempt to trap you, but a natural way to determine whether you can open up and communicate honestly with her feelings without defensiveness or excessive emotional reactions. She observes how you respond during difficult conversations. Can you listen attentively without interrupting? Can you understand her pain without justification or minimization? Do you show real patience and empathy? These behaviors reveal your emotional availability and your willingness to face the situation sincerely. Healthy emotional availability is not a temporary state. It is one of the strongest indicators of whether the relationship can be repaired in the long term. She is looking for a partner who can be psychologically and emotionally present in difficult moments, someone who can express and face feelings without fear or overwhelming reactivity. 5. Pausing, withdrawing, or setting boundaries. After betrayal, you may notice that she begins creating emotional or physical distance between you. This behavior is not a test in the traditional sense, but a natural and necessary protective mechanism that helps her process the emotional shock and understand the extent of the damage. She uses this withdrawal or pause as an opportunity to evaluate whether you respect her boundaries and understand the importance of giving her time to heal. It is a silent observation of your behavior. Do you respect her need for space? Do you communicate with awareness and care, or do you pressure her to resume the relationship before she is ready? This protective behavior is part of the psychological recovery process after betrayal. It allows her to control her emotional environment, reduce the risk of additional pain, and avoid further emotional trauma. It also gives her time to evaluate your true intentions. Are you genuinely committed to repairing the relationship, or are your promises merely temporary words? Why do these behaviors happen? Psychological research indicates that betrayal does not only trigger feelings of anger or hurt, it shakes the foundation of emotional safety entirely. The affected partner often experiences something similar to psychological trauma, including loss of trust, shock, anxiety, and heightened attention to every emotional signal in the relationship. Every look, word, or action becomes subject to scrutiny because the brain is trying to determine whether the partner can be trusted again. These responses are not random or exaggerated. They are natural defense mechanisms designed to help a person reassess emotional safety. Through careful observation, the brain attempts to restore a sense of trust and predictability in the relationship and evaluate whether the partner deserves another chance. In other words, these behaviors, whether observation, testing, or boundary setting, are part of a complex process of understanding the new reality after betrayal, protecting oneself from further pain, and allowing space for healing and conscious rebuilding of the relationship. What is the real meaning of these behaviors? When a woman seems to be testing you after betrayal, it is rarely manipulation or mockery. Rather, it is the result of deep and genuine emotional processing. Through these tests, she seeks to understand your emotional depth, evaluate your commitment to the relationship, and determine whether you truly grasp the magnitude of the harm caused by betrayal. At this stage, she is often doing several things at once. She tries to read your empathy and the depth of your feelings to determine whether you truly understand the pain you caused and whether you can genuinely empathize with her. She looks for consistent actions rather than words alone, because words do not rebuild trust. What she seeks is sustained behavior that demonstrates your true intentions and willingness to take responsibility and repair the relationship. She evaluates your understanding of the damage caused, wanting to see whether you can acknowledge the harm without justification or minimization, and how you behave when facing consequences. She protects her emotional well-being by creating boundaries and safe space, allowing her to process the trauma gradually, without further psychological harm. In short, these behaviors are not merely attempts to test you, but part of how trust and connection are evaluated after betrayal, and how the possibility of rebuilding the relationship is assessed in a conscious and sustainable way. They indicate that she is dealing with her trauma with awareness and is seeking to understand your true intentions before deciding whether to move forward or withdraw.